Hello and welcome to the United Stand. How are you all doing on this Tuesday evening? Tuesday, there's an S in it. If you're watching live, very good to have you. If you're not watching live, very good to have you anyway. You're part of the community. So let's fly straight into it. Manchester United are the favourites now to sign Thomas Lemar from Monaco. And that is basically through the bookies, because that's what favourites and betting is all about. So Manchester United favourites to sign him. Linked last week to a £55 million bid. All summer long, this is the player that Arsenal have been getting, and the Arsenal fans want him because he'll complete the jigsaw. He'll not only will he provide them with some width, he'll also provide them with a spine. Yeah, whatever. But Thomas Lemar is apparently now the favourite to come to Manchester United in a £55 million bid. What do you get with Lemar? You get a left-sided winger, 5'7", fast, skillful, good at creating things down the left-hand side. You don't get a defensive left winger. You don't get somebody who really works hard back. You get a player that's, I would say, he's not as good as Martial. I think Martial's better than Lemar. So I'm quite surprised that we would be linked to him. But the reality is, well, the latest in relation to Perisic, who I don't really want to talk about because I know a lot of people don't like it when I do. Perisic is apparently going to sign a new contract at Inter Milan, £98,000 a week, which would make him the most the highest paid player at Inter Milan. So they're pulling out all the stops to make him stay. Who was Perisic? Who knew anything about Perisic if you didn't watch a bit of Serie A last season? Or probably you might have known him from the Euros. I mean, he's a decent player, but Manchester United's chasing of Perisic has suddenly turned him into a major player in European football, and somebody that Inter Milan are so in awe of, they want to make him the highest paid player. They've got Icardi there. I'd love Icardi at Manchester United, by the way. So I suppose the one thing is that it just shows that what a talent he is, and you know, it's obviously woken up the world to Perisic because we can't get him out of Inter, and they're going to make him the highest paid player. It's a shame. I would have liked him. I think he ticks all the boxes for us down the left hand side. Very different to what Martial or Rashford can offer. He actually is a specialist winger. He can play both sides. He's tall, he's quick, he's skillful, and he works hard. And he would have played on the left hand side of the 5-3-2, like with Valencia on the right. But I still think it could happen. I'm not turning it off completely. We'll just have to wait and see if it does happen or no. Jared Harris says the bookies know as much as journos. What's the difference? Very good point, Jared. Very good point. Rodney is here, so we will get him Rodney on in a minute, by the way. Very good point. But the reality is that when it comes to Thomas Lemar and the bookies, they are only offering it at 6 to 1. You know, we've had them close. We've had people like Sky Bet and others just stop taking bets on deals that have never happened. So I don't think Lemar will happen based on what I just said there. I think it's. I just don't think he is better than Martial. So why would you spend £55 million on somebody that is effectively going to blow Martial away? We'll have to wait and see with that. Secondly, Adidas, have they effectively confirmed Zlatan's return to Manchester United? Apparently, they are selling number 10 shirts with Zlatan on around the country, and I believe at Manchester United Superstore, that Zlatan is coming back to Manchester United, which leads me nicely, lovely, some might say. Some might say we will find a brighter day. Some might say, I want my phone up. Okay, if we go to the Vol app, you can download this for free in the video description. And as you can say, I've just put up a new poll on there. We're using the Vol app for our polls, and I've put up a poll up on there. Do you want Zlatan back at United? To which we have 90% saying yes so far, just under 90%, 11.1% saying no. Do you want Zlatan back at Manchester United? We've sort of spoken about him a little bit, but do you want Zlatan back at Manchester United? Cast your vote on Vol. Free to download. The new sort of social media Twitter stroke Instagram app, it is exploding. I said this a week ago when we started promoting it. We've got nearly 2,000 followers on there. Give us a follow. Vol are obviously promoting through the United Stand and other accounts to get people on there, but it's thriving. There's some really good chat on there, really good community. If you like Twitter, if you like Instagram, get yourself onto Vol. Make sure you follow the United Stand, because they are going to be giving away, not a signed, a Manchester United top with the choice of your name on the back, and that will be this weekend. It's to coincide with the international break. So click the video link on the video description, follow at United Stand, and you will go in that draw. But get yourself on Vol anyway. That's what we're using as polls. I know a lot of you like polls. And I nearly did the Graham Poll joke again. So it's free to download. Link in the video description. Follow us at United Stand, and we put polls up there at least twice a day. So get on there, join the community, and as you can see, as at United 15 says in relation to Zlatan, if he's used correctly, then it's a fantastic addition, which I wouldn't disagree with. Let's come back to you lot. Let's come back to you lot on the live comments. Somebody loves Icardi. They've obviously got great taste. Gavin Mendonça says Mark, Lemar or Draxler or Perisic. Still be Perisic for me, then Draxler, then Lemar. Lemar doesn't offer us anything new. I don't think he's as good as Martial. Draxler and Perisic offer us something else that we haven't got on the wing, so that's why I would go. United Lads has followed us on Vol. Thank you for that, United Lads. Get involved with us. Make sure you reply and interact. We are using it as another social media outlet as well. And what else did I want to talk to you? Luke Shaw came through. I mean, you might like Ashley Young as well, but I like Luke Shaw. So Luke Shaw's come through his first game last night unscathed. That is a positive, a very big positive. And in relation to transfer news, we now expect Andreas Pereira to stay at Manchester United. Valencia did want him. Not Antonio Valencia, Valencia, the football club in Spain. And Pereira is apparently happy to stay. Mourinho was always happy for him to stay, but was given him that option if he wanted to go and not fight for his place. But Pereira is apparently going to stay, which is massively good news, because only last night we were talking about how we didn't think that was going to happen. I am waiting for Rodney and I am calling him, so I'll crack on with the live comments. Andrew Hudson said he sent a super chat. Andrew, don't worry, we will pick it up for you. We normally go back and just pick them up at some point. Rodney, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mark, loud and clear. How are you?
Evening, fella. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Glad to be back in the UK.
Yeah, you back in Barcelona last week. Anywhere near the tragic incident that happened?
Roughly about two and a half miles away from where the incident was. I mean, when you're there in the city, you kind of are slightly on edge when you're going around. Just say it was good to be back, despite the sunshine or the lack of it here.
Yeah, there's none here. Andrew Hudson's made a super chat. We'll fly straight in. He says, do you think Lukaku and Zlatan will ever start together, and do you think they'd make a good pairing?
Do you know what? I just literally, when I was listening to you saying about Zlatan possibly being back, I think they could make a good pairing. I actually put down what would the possibilities be of Zlatan, Lukaku, and either Rashford or Martial as a front three. That would be devastating to any back four, because they wouldn't know which way to go. Zlatan on his own takes two defenders away anyway, so I think in terms of attacking options, if he does come back, it does look good for United. I wouldn't want him as the main striker. And for Lukaku to miss out, I think we still need Lukaku's legs, stretching defences and down the flanks. But yeah, I think it would be good to see.
Well, we'll see. I think we will see it. As I was saying there, for those who joined us a little bit late, Adidas are already selling the number 10 shirt with Zlatan on it. So talk about leaks, yeah. But I think we always felt that would happen. Yeah. Tim Palmer take one player from the other top six side to join United. We'll come back to that. I probably would go Dele Alli myself. Mark, you scare me on your fascination on Perisic, says Tox Kazim. Well,
you're not alone.
You don't like Perisic either?
No, I do. I like him. I do. I watched the Inter game on Sunday, and he was instrumental. He popped up on both wings, left foot, right foot crosses. You know, he picks out his man, tracks back. You know, he's everything that you want in a modern day professional. I'm very much a fan of Perisic.
It's a shame we just didn't get the deal done at the start of the summer, and then we'd be you know, some United fans would have moaned about who he is, and now they'd be seeing who he is. The reality is now that we've spent all summer trying to get him. Inter Milan are going to make him the highest paid earner. Everyone can now see how good he is, and you know, maybe we're not going to get him, but I'm still hanging in until he signs a new contract. I'm still hanging in there and hoping it could happen. Lukaku movement is clumsy and Zlatan is slow. It could be tough to play the two, says VK Dean. I've got to say, it's not really for me to say tonight, because we've got Rodney on as the guest, but I wouldn't be over I wouldn't be overly excited about Zlatan and Lukaku. I think it'd be a bit static. But Ben on Wubali says Zlatan in our squad this year will be a liability. Look, Ooh. The Vol poll is there. Link in the video description. Follow at United Stand. We'll go back to that poll at the end of the show if you want to get on there and leave some comments on there as well. But I suspect it'll be around 90% of Manchester United fans that want Zlatan back. I certainly want him back, but I've already said I've got my concerns around will he be starting every game and will he be taking the free kicks again? Chuck your questions in for Rodney. Hamza Abo says, I'll be disappointed if we don't sign Perisic. Mbappe's gone to PSG, says Spikes. Look, I think there's a sad side to football this summer. I think Neymar going to PSG, Mbappe going to PSG, Fabinho going to PSG. I think it's disgusting, really, going to a club like that, a rubbish pub club in Paris for money. But that says what a lot of footballers are about these days. And whilst sponsors and everybody else want to chuck ridiculous amounts of money at them, they will become more and more mercenary. So it's not even a double-edged sword. It's a one-sided sword that's going to stab fans every single summer from now on. Because the more money that piles in and the more you spend that money, the more mercenary players will come. I don't think even 2 years ago, I don't think even last summer, Neymar would have considered PSG or Mbappe or Fabinho. It is totally about money as far as I'm concerned, Rodney.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, let's be honest. I think in terms of players signing long-term contracts, that kind of period or that kind of way of doing football business, it's not going to hold much weight in terms of the future. Big companies they'll be the agents. You know, we're talking about Adidas selling shirts with number 10 with Zlatan on it already. You know, the rumor is that's the power that companies have, or you would say countries have. Once they pump their money in, they'll treat the modern day football like it is FIFA in terms of the computer game. They'll move players around as at their will, and players of Neymar's capabilities, and he's a very good player, he's an outstanding player. You know, he understands his market value, and he probably wasn't getting that at Barcelona. And he just thought, well, for me to get my market value now, I'm going to go to PSG. So I can actually understand why he went to PSG. The problem is that PSG haven't won anything in terms of European trophies. So everyone's asking the question, where's the money coming from? And FIFA is too busy, got their head in the sand to even do anything. So big companies, big billionaires, in terms of have invested money into a number of different clubs, will be able to do what they like. And this is the start of it. Yeah,
I agree. Footballers on £300,000 a week, some armed forces on $15,000 a year. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
And they need to be more grateful, says Danny Green. Oh, moralistically, the open heart surgeon who's not on £100,000 a year, you know, what value are they to society compared to, I don't know, Paul Pogba? You know, Pogba's on millions and millions of pounds every year. I love Pogba, by the way, but who is more valuable to society, the open heart surgeon or Paul Pogba? Some people
give me the open heart surgeon.
Yeah.
Give me anyone that has medical qualifications that can save a life. They'll get more money.
Effectively, I'm sure there are people in the live comments saying Pogba's more important because he gives me enjoyment. I tell you what, when you're in your early 50s and you've had a few too many beers and burgers over your life and you fall over, who do you want standing over you? Open heart surgeon or Paul Pogba? Because Paul Pogba might be able to do a few keep-ups for you as you breathe your last breath. The heart surgeon might save your life. But moralistically, this is an argument that's gone on for years, and that's the reason police officers, surgeons, armed forces don't earn a lot of money, is because we don't all pay about £300 or £400 a year to watch them do their surgery or go and shoot people who are trying to blow us up or arrest people who are a hindrance to society. But we do pay hundreds of pounds to go and watch these people entertain us. So moralistically, I agree, but ultimately, footballers should get the money because that's where they're the entertainers. I'd rather the footballers get the money than the owners, but there's too much money in football, and moralistically, I think the society needs to do something about that. It's out of control. You know, football fans don't need to have their subscriptions go up every year. They don't need to have to pay more for shirts every year. these prices should come down. It's greed by the owners, by the TV companies that are driving this, and that's why it'll go more and more and more. But it'll ruin the game. I think it is ruining the game already. Manchester United, for the last 20 years, well, we had the Glazers, I suppose, but Manchester United, Rodney, we should have been the club buying all the best players, because we're the richest club in the world, with the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid. When there's someone like PSG or Man City come along and just cheat effectively in relation to what financial fair play is meant to be all about, then they will destroy the game. We will lose passion players, which United's always been about, and we will create, even in this country, mercenaries.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Man City owners were interviewed when they first purchased the club, and I think the question was put to him about, will the manager have money to buy players? And he just responded by saying, we have very deep pockets, which meant it is an unlimited amount of funds for any manager that manages Manchester City. So when you've got a club that can spend 200 million on left backs and right backs, it's not surprising that you've got clubs like PSG who are throwing money at quality players, and quality players are looking at it and thinking, this isn't necessarily a long-term thing. We're not in this for the next 20 years. If you're 21, you're going to play in your peak until you're probably 29, 30 if you maintain your fitness and your health. So they'll try and take the money as quickly as possible and go wherever the money is being distributed. And at this moment in time, it's PSG.
Well, we'll move on because we want to get more Football United questions for Rodney. But all I would say is that United Stand's been around a couple of years. Some of you have been with us here that long. Some of you half that time. Some of you a few months, minutes, days. Stay with the United Stand, because we're not going anywhere, and we will be vocal about this. The only way this will change is if there is a community like this, or other communities where fans do unite on this and start to have a bigger voice, because it needs to stop. And until somebody gets a voice at the big table in football or starts to listen, it won't change. Fans pay too much money. There's too much money going into football. Footballers don't need £300,000 a week. They can get by, they can get more than enough bread and milk on £100,000 a week. That £200,000 a week back into our society would make everybody better off. Moralistically, it's wrong, but unless there's a big voice, it's not going to change. And in fact, with the likes of Amazon, Netflix, and everybody else now apparently going to get in on the Premier League TV rights next time round, the wages are just going to go up and up and up. And will the clubs think? The clubs won't think, oh, let's reduce ticket prices. And certainly whoever gets the TV deals won't think, oh, let's make it cheaper for the fans. They'll be doing it. They'll be doing what the Glazers did. They'll be getting the TV rights on debt that they'll recoup from you by putting up the TV subscriptions. That's what Sky did. Sky said they weren't going to do that 2 years ago. They've done it twice in the last 2 years. They paid ridiculous amounts of money to get the Premier League rights. Oh, no, we're not going to put up the fee for the viewers. They've done it twice. Yeah.
Well, I think they've done it more than twice. But anyway, let's not talk about them anymore. Let's
okay, if you had to choose between taking Zlatan or Perisic, who would you take? That's going to be a quick answer. Or maybe it's not.
Oh, gosh. It's a Perisic.
Perisic, good one. Every club... Okay, there's a lot of people talking about that. Let me whiz back, because there might be a few questions. We'll wait for them to come. All right, then. I started off with Lemar. Some people might be a little bit late on this. Okay. Lemar, Manchester United are now the favourites to sign Thomas Lemar from Monaco. He's been linked to Arsenal all summer. He's obviously got some brains because he doesn't want to go there. United are now favourites to sign him. But when I say favourites, 6-1 isn't much favourite in football betting. So, what are your thoughts on Lemar? 5'7", right, early 20s, quick?
For me, I wouldn't say it would be a bad signing. I would, if he did join, I think a lot of people would start to put 2 and 2 together and think that would be the end of Martial, but I don't think it would. I think the players that would need to be concerned if Lemar did arrive would be Mkhitaryan and Mata. Because I think if Lemar, with his footballing brain, from what I've seen so far of him, and he can play out wide and central, he would make a very good number, or 7 or 10, playing behind a striker. And I think he has the technical ability to do that very, very well. So just because he's left-footed and plays out wide for Monaco doesn't necessarily mean he would be used in that position by Mourinho. if he joined. I still think Martial would have a place, and I think it would be other players in the team who would have to kind of look over their shoulder and wonder about their position. But I wouldn't be against him joining.
Do you feel that there is a opportunity or reality, I suppose, for United to sign somebody? I've not known it so quiet this transfer window as the last, pretty much since the season started. There's not a hell of a lot out there, and we've only got a week on Thursday, is it, that the transfer window closes. It doesn't feel like United are about to do a deal, but I think we will. What are your thoughts? And I mean, we've got shoot neutrality there saying, look, Oxlade-Chamberlain wants to leave Arsenal. If it's a choice between Chelsea and United, surely he'd come to United. You're laughing. I presume you wouldn't have him.
No, I didn't. The thing is, I'm not. I think again, he's another one of the young English players that have not developed as they should have at Arsenal. If he wants to leave Arsenal,
Wenger, you see, maybe Mourinho.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. He needs to put in a transfer request. I think in terms of the transfer window, it is like that quiet moment before a shootout in the Western, when everyone's looking behind the curtains and seeing who's coming up the street. I think everyone's going to leave it until the last minute before they start doing moves, and it will be, for us, I think it will be a surprise if we bring someone else in, because we've already got 3 players in. So whoever comes in will be an additional bonus, and it won't be a situation where we are trying to get players in and we only bring in one player, and the player we bring in, everyone moans about, like we did when it was Fellaini. So I think, even though it's quiet at this period of time, I think Mourinho is very happy with the purchases. And I think, realistically, 2 games in, the United fans that have watched the team play will be saying, we're happy with Matic, we're happy with Lukaku. We're still waiting for Lindelof to kind of find his feet. And then if we get a 4th, happy days.
As far as I'm concerned, Rachel Speck says, who do you think will sign next? Thank you for the contribution, Rachel. We'll stay with that. But as far as I'm concerned, I've totally forgotten what I was going to say. Thank you, Rachel. But I have. But who do you think will sign next? Okay, who do you think... I'll try and remember what that was. Who do I think will sign next? I don't know. I don't know who will sign next. It's very, very hard to say.
I hope it's someone on the left. I think we desperately need someone on the left, whether it's... let's say his name again for the fun of it, Perisic, an attacking left-sided player who can defend.
I'd love to get Perisic just to kill the Matic thing, because Matic, I've been proved wrong on Matic, but I would love to get Perisic and prove all the doubters wrong. But
I mean, if those that don't know about Perisic, they need to go and watch, Interplay and see how effective he is on the ball. He's a threat in the final third all the time. But also, if we don't get Perisic, I think we need a backup left back. As much as I'm happy for Luke Shaw to be, on the way back, I'm worried about his fitness. I'm worried he might get another injury and he might break down. And it took Valencia the best part of 3 or 4 years to come back from his broken leg. Where we could say he's given consistently 8 out of 10 performances every game. You break your leg, it takes a while mentally to get over it. So,
well, I'll tell you what, Rodney, here's a good question from Justin Pillay. He says, we don't need anyone. I mean, what does everyone at home think? What do you think? Are we okay to go into, as we are, just carry on? And, I suppose January is always a get out of jail if things go wrong. But are we good to go at the moment, or do you think we're short?
If we're good to go, that means that the manager has faith in Luke Shaw and Ashley Young as cover on the left-hand side, because Blind, for me, has been shaky in the 2 games that we've played so far. I've not been 100% in terms of watching his positional play, being happy about it. But in terms of the rest of the squad, I think, we're happy. I'm saying we're good to go, as long as the ones that we've got in the squad aren't allowed to leave on loan, like Pereira.
Yeah,
so if we're not going to bring anyone in, don't let anyone else go.
All I'd say on that is, in relation to what Justin said, we don't need anyone. Whatever I think, whatever Rodney thinks, whatever you think, the reality is Mourinho wanted 4 and he's got 3. So if he does go into this season and it went really badly wrong, Mourinho, quite rightly, would throw that excuse out. He said, I'm grateful for what the club's done. They've got me 3. I'd like 4. He wanted 4. So we haven't got enough. Whatever Mourinho's plan was, and whoever was first, second, third choice, whatever, whether Matic was first choice or not, at the moment, he looks like he's a good choice. Same with Lukaku. Yeah. But he wanted 4. And so I don't think we have got enough. But I'll come back to that in a minute because there's a contribution here from Darian Jones. He says, oh, this is interesting for you, Rodney. I'll give you this because it's tough. He says, is the treble realistic? City, Liverpool and Chelsea will probably go through the problems we had last season. And I think we can beat anyone over 2 legs. I'll throw that to you, Rodney, but sort of answering the last question as well. We ain't doing the treble unless we sign at least 2 more players. We've not got the squad for that.
Yeah, do you know what? If I would say, yes, we could do the treble, but we definitely need to sign 2 more players. And they would definitely need to be one on the left side and another tricky midfielder. Who knows what will happen between now and the end of this transfer window? You know, Mourinho says he might have wanted 1, we might get 2. You know, or we might not get anyone. You know, that's how funny the window has been. It has really been a very quiet couple of weeks in terms of players coming in. That the players that we've been linked to have been the usual kind of media names that have been trotted out. If it's not a Barcelona player, it's a Real Madrid player. If it's not a Real Madrid player, then we're linked to Fabinho again. And then he's thought, you know, it's we've not been linked to anyone that you could solidly say they've put in a transfer request and they want to join United. So unless they've done it quietly and they're waiting until after the international break, we have to wait and see.
Andrew Hudson, I don't think I did miss your super chat, but I always go and check them every few minutes. So if we have, we'll certainly read it out because I know what I have read. So don't worry about that. I remembered what I was going to say before Rachel's last super chat sort of threw me, and that was in relation to signings. There's a few people saying, why don't you talk about the right wing? We're centre backs. Don't link us to any more centre backs. As I said the other day, the Varane link was probably the worst link we've had all summer. It was an awful article which we covered. Yeah. We don't need any centre backs. Whether the ones we've got are good enough or not, we're well stacked, and I think they are good enough. It really is the left hand side, as Rodney says. I'd still like us to get another midfielder, but actually Pereira can't even get on the bench at the moment, so that sort of shows you that we probably are quite well stacked there. I wouldn't have minded another forward, but if Zlatan's coming back, that sort of helps. What the left winger does, and I'll be stunned if we don't bring a left winger in, Rodney, is what it does is, at the moment, if you play Lukaku and Martial or Rashford, you've got to have one on the bench just to give you an option in the last 20 minutes. You can't play all 3. As much as I'd like to see Lukaku, Rashford on the right, Martial on the left, we can't do that. What a left winger would do, and I get a little bit confused why people keep saying, oh, that'll ruin Martial's chances. It won't. It will give us more options. It will give us that, you know, freedom to sort of move Rashford as the backup for Lukaku or put him on the right. And I think a left winger is so important. And it also, if they've got some sort of defensive capabilities, it does allow us to do the 5-3-2 if Luke Shaw doesn't develop and Blind stays as disappointing as he has been. Yeah,
I mean, right, in terms of a right-sided player, the squad is, you know, top-heavy in terms of right-footed footballers who should be able to cross the ball. Apart from the fact that we play Mata on the right and he's left-footed.
Can I just interrupt you here, Rodney? Because there is actually a super chat which is very much on this point. It's from Ferris Odie, and he says, you keep banging on about left side issue, but are blindsided by the right hand side issues. Mata's position is an issue. He's not first team material. So carry on. And
no. In terms of it, the thing is, he is first team material, Mata. It's just that we don't have anyone that can go past him apart from Valencia in terms of an option. And let me put it the other way. Valencia is the only option on the right hand side. So if Mata is playing central, then Mkhitaryan has already stated he doesn't like playing out wide. He prefers to be number 10. So you've got 2 people vying for the same spot. So it's really important that we get someone on the left-hand side that doesn't want to come into that central position, that will stay wide. When you watch the highlights, or if you can watch the game again, if anyone can, Blind doesn't want to go past anyone when he gets the ball. And when he actually puts his body in a position to receive the ball, he puts it in a position where he automatically comes back inside, which means then he can't find a player to pass to, and then he passes the ball back. A natural left-footed player who likes to go up and attack the wing wouldn't look to come back all the time. And that's why the left side is really, really important. We've got so many players on the right side that can actually go into that position, whether it be Herrera. Even if you stuck Fellaini out there, he'd still be able to get past one person across the ball. But the left side is a real problem because it doesn't matter who we have. They always go to a certain point and then they come back and check in on their right. And if you've got a player like Lukaku who's waiting for crosses, you know, for the best will in the world, at some point in time, you do get frustrated if the cross doesn't come in the first time.
We nearly went over 2,000 people watching there. Please do share the video. You can do that through underneath and do it through your social media. And drop a like. It's Rodney on Tuesday night. So if you like Rodney and his content, drop a like. And if you like the yellow pen, drop us a like. We don't script the United stand, but Rodney gave me a great assist to bring the yellow pen in here. So you've got the wings there like that. And as I've said before, I'm not a fan of this. So Mata crosses it in like this. Rashford crosses it in like this because they're both not natural. Centre backs, easy. You're facing it, you head it away comfortably. Not a problem at all. What you want is this. Curl in like that. Curl in like that. Into that danger area between the goalkeeper and the back four. The back four are facing their own goals. So they've got to try and put it out for a corner, which we're quite good at this year, or they might put it in their own goal. And Lukaku can attack it. That is the danger zone, that sort of cross. And it's got to be whipped in by the natural left footer or the natural right footer. The only person who can do that cross is Daley Blind, but he struggles to get into this position. Valencia, he's like stood on the touchline when Blind's on halfway line. He's so fast. But the trouble with Valencia, as we've seen before, whack, whack, whack.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not the cross that you want. If you could combine Blind and Valencia, it'd be perfect. Unfortunately, when we get the ball here, Daley Blind's here. And he needs to get to here, so we sort of have to do a slow build-up play to allow Blind to get there. Then the cross comes in, and it's still better than what Valencia can do. But I'm a massive fan of that. We don't do it. Not a lot of clubs do it anymore. But as an ex-defender myself, the worst cross is a natural cross because it's right into the danger zone. If it's done properly, you're facing your own goal. But if it's a Mata cross curling towards you, it's hard for the striker to do anything. It's easy for you. Perisic would have been perfect, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Ferry Sodi's mend of the contribution. He says crossing into the box is so 1990s. I don't. What's your thoughts on that? I don't think it is. I just don't think people do it properly anymore.
I think it's an area that I think football teams and football players got so taken with the whole tiki-taki football that Barcelona played some time ago, where they didn't necessarily have to cross the ball because they moved it really quickly. You know, sometimes
I tell you what, David Beckham in today's game would still be one of the best players in the world. Crossing is not dead, it's just not done properly. You look at how bad defending is now. In the 90s it was good. How bad it is now. John Stones couldn't deal with a cross into the danger zone. No way, he'd run away crying, he wouldn't know what to do.
I mean, a decent cross will have any defender in trouble. A decent cross, because the one thing they don't want to do is actually attack the ball and mishead it. And it does take time. And then some defenders say, yeah, they love it in the air and all that. But if you get someone who can miss the first defender and pick out a striker who can change the range of their crossing from a delicate chip to a curled cross to a driven cross, you know, as a defender, you're always on your guard because you never know what kind of delivery is going to come over. But, you know, with Valencia, when he gets to the byline, you know what kind of cross it is. He's going to literally hammer it in. So you can either block it or it will whiz past everyone and go out for a throw-in. So in terms of saying crossing is an old art, maybe it is old, but it's not one that should be discarded. It's definitely relevant art to have.
Mark Robinson says good crosses in the box are unplayable and always cause the defence problems. I think what's dead is 4-4-2, and a lot of people think 4-4-2 is about wingers, which it was. But crossing into the box isn't dead. I mean, I saw Ross Barkley put some cracking crosses into the box last season for Everton, and Lukaku, all he had to do was just run and head it, because it was that perfect whipped cross into the danger zone, unplayable, undefendable goal. It just doesn't happen. There seems United over the last few years seem to have this obsession with having Mata, left footer, on the right wing. His cross is always going to curl towards the goal. But we've said our part on that. Just very quickly, let us know in the live comments. The Champions League draw, a few people have been asking about this. Champions League draw is 5 o'clock UK time on Thursday. If you want us to do a live video, around the Champions League draw, more than happy to sit and do it with you. Happy to do that, not a problem at all. So if people want us to do it, let us know in the live comments, and we'll do that. I don't know how that's going to work. We'll talk about that more on Thursday, I think. But good to be back in the Champions League, obviously.
Yep.
Chuck us some more questions then for Rodney. And was there anything you wanted to discuss, Rodney? Because I know sometimes you do take some notes.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, when I watched the game, I was in Barcelona watching the game, and I thought we played really well in the first half, apart from a few players giving the ball away. I think Paul Pogba was fortunate not to get sent off. I think if we were playing any one of the other top 4 teams, top 5 teams, they would have been cute enough to have sucked him into a challenge, which would have seen a second yellow, and he would have gone. I thought, I'm glad that he scored, and I hope that a player of his ability definitely goes on to get 10 goals by Christmas, because I mean, that's what we spent the money on in terms of the transfer fee. So I would like to see him get 10 goals. And I've said before previously, it's no good having a striker score 25 goals and your midfield don't chip in, because there are days that the striker might not get one, and you need your midfield to come up with the goods, which, you know, previous United squads have done before. Matic, solid again. I just thought he was just, you know, he looks like he's been playing at United for a long time.
We will do a Champions League draw show on Thursday. A lot of people are happy about that. But Zuhas says, Rodney, in light of what you just said, team for Leicester, would you make any changes? If so, who?
I would actually try and start with, I think I would start with Martial. I would actually...
I mean, remember we were speaking about this last week, and I think it's still closest to whether he will start him, but he's certainly, the circumstances are slightly more in his favour, because when he came on, the game wasn't won, and he won it, and again, he was flawless.
Yeah, I think if Martial was to bottle what he produced in that period of time over the 2 games, he would be devastating across the league. Throughout the season, I think teams would fear him, because if you could reproduce that kind of killer instinct 3 or 4 times in a game, defenders won't want it. They'd be looking at the team sheet to see if he's playing first. They wouldn't look at anyone else, because they'd be so worried about what he can do. And I remember saying to you maybe 2 shows ago that he needed to work on his control, probably his attitude, but on his left. He still needs to do that, but his finishing is just, you know, he's almost at that level where Henry, once he goes past a player, he knows it's going in the back of the net. And that's why I would like him to start. Rashford still plays as if he's looking at his shoelaces. You know, everything's 100 miles an hour. And he still needs to develop that moment where he kind of slows down for a fraction. And just to see the bigger picture, see what's going to happen before it happens, and then pick his spot in terms of scoring a goal past the goalie. 19,
Rashford, lots and lots of time. I sort of agree with you there that he doesn't need to be playing every week. You know, he's still developing. He's still going to have moments. I thought he played quite well at the weekend, but he did miss chances, and that's what you get judged on. Chanel Wells says, Dortmund have said Dembele is available. In my opinion, we should go out and get him. And what do you think? I think both me and Rodney have said through the summer that big fans of Dembele, but I don't think it'll happen.
Well, I mean, again, there's another player. If he comes in, where would he play? And who would have to look out for their spot? I would still say, again, the 2 players that would have to be wary if we did bring anyone of that calibre would be Mkhitaryan and Mata. Martial's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
I personally think that Martial is our best player. When he's on form, I think he's our best player in the whole team. Probably up there with Pogba. He's that talented. It's just about getting that consistency. But he was unplayable. In both substitute appearances, he's been unplayable. And that goal against Swansea, watch it back. It looks really easy. I can tell you for one, that finish is very, very hard. To make it look that easy from where he does, past a top, a Premier League goalkeeper, to pass it into the net from like that.
Yeah, he's very good. I mean, if he could bottle that and reproduce that like 3 or 4 times in a game, if he played 70, 80 minutes, you know, teams would be quaking in their boots before they even went out onto the pitch.
Somebody on there, do they think the Aurier deal is dead? I think Spurs are in for him, but they've just spent a lot of money on that Sanchez fella. So I don't know. I think Aurier could happen, but it sort of came from nowhere, and it's gone to nowhere. So
yeah, again, we were all hyped up for that, and he was a player that I would like to see. I mean, I did mention again. I think it was that Aurier did. Join United and would Valencia play? I said, well, I'll push Valencia into the middle with Matic and push Pogba further forward, so that he'd be totally free of any defensive responsibility, so he can do his magic further up the pitch. But I'd hate to see that player go to Spurs, but you win some, you lose some, as they say.
SD just said resign Rooney. I think he meant re-sign Rooney, not resign. Did a good job for us last night. I mean,
yeah.
I've not really seen anybody saying that we shouldn't have sold Rooney. I think you'd have to be a bit of a clown to think that.
No,
not understand football. His days at United were done. He needed a fresh challenge, and I don't think he could do it for United anymore. Playing for Everton's a different thing, just like Lukaku will find this season. But I'm really happy. Rooney's sort of found his level, and he's doing well.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm glad he's. I mean, when you see an old player score goals, you're always glad. When you see an old player score goals against your enemy, then you're really happy.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I think for Rooney, it was the right time for him. I think he'd probably become bored at United even. The level of expectation can weigh on someone, and I think he's free to play football the way he wants to play football.
Matthew McFadden's made a contribution. Thank you, Matthew. He says Rashford's work rate is great. So since he gets up and down the pitch more, the opposing fullback will get tired chasing him, trying to defend. This makes Martial even better for the last 15 to 20 minutes. I think that is the challenge for Martial, if and when he starts a game, is that he has, through an effort of his own, he's coming into games that are probably a little bit more open. As you say, people are a little bit more tired, and he's fresh. But you still, that's not taking anything away from him. And a lot of substitutes come on and do nothing. He really has been sensational. But that challenge from minute one will be the next step for him, and I think Mourinho will give him a chance soon. He could play Rashford, Martial, and Lukaku as a front three. And
could you imagine? Oh, that would be quite scary.
Apparently Lukaku's Instagram has been hacked, because a few people are on about that.
I don't have Instagram, so I'm none the wiser.
No, neither me. Ewan Gordon says, is there any Bale news? Not unless you want to listen to Richard Keys talking nonsense again. I mean, Bale's not coming to United, and I'd be happy to be proved wrong if he did, because I'd welcome him, but he's not coming to United.
We've got more chance of signing a bale of hay than the other Bale. Just that's not happening.
Paul Lucas says, I think a lot of people have got transfer acquisition syndrome. We should only buy if it improves the squad, or if there are better players than we have. Well, I think we've done that, Paul. Do you, Rodney? I mean, looking at the window.
I think we have. I think in terms of let's start with Matic. He's improved the position in terms of the back defending the back four. If we were to say that we were going to rely on Carrick and Herrera to do that one job, we probably would have drawn that game against Swansea. But Matic, as I've mentioned to you before, he's got that in-game management where the 1-0s are going to turn into a solid 3 point. And I think for him, he's I think he may be the signing of the season. And he may not score any goals, but he's definitely doing a job that was needed. And there's no talk of us saying, we should have got Kante. Because I know even I said that last year, why didn't we get Kante? We should have got Kante. Well, Matic is doing a fine job now, so I'm not complaining. I will take back everything I said about not signing Kante last season, because we have Matic in his place.
Mm-hmm. Andrew says, rather not get Bale and get Griezmann next summer. Jack Pace de Bono says, when does the channel upload? So 8 o'clock every night, 7 AM every morning, and live if anything happens, and an hour before every game with the watch along. That's pretty much it. So a couple of videos a day.
Mark, with the Griezmann thing, I was in some Twitter conversation about the Griezmann, and I jokingly, I said that, in terms of him joining United, I think he may look back and think he's made a mistake in staying at Atletico. I don't feel anything for him in terms of him not being part of what's happening at our club. And not to cut my nose off despite my face, I'm laughing. If we can go and get someone else, I'd rather us go and get someone else. I think that Griezmann's time in terms of his purple patch may be over. Not to say anything about him as a person or a player. I just think the shine may have gone, and it may be someone else's time to be in the limelight. So unlucky, Griezmann, but I don't feel any way that you're not with us.
Yeah, I must admit I do feel, as many people will know, I felt very bitter about it because I think he led us up the dark garden path and bottled it. And I think he regrets it now as well, which was always going to be obvious. Why would you stay at a club that's not going to win the Champions League or the league just for a load of money? Again, mercenary, isn't he? And I think he bottled it. He was, United shirt, number 7, higher profile, one of the world's best, came third in the Ballon d'Or. You go to United, you're going to get all the sponsors or everything all over you. And he turned it down. Madness. Andrew Hudson did make another contribution. Thank you, Andrew. And he did say, is it possible for both Bale and Griezmann to come next year? Well, anything's possible with United, but I would probably say that in a year's time, post the World Cup, because that's when most signings will happen, there'll be new stars on town that maybe we'll go for.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the one that I'm looking at this year and I think that will shine is Dybala. I think he will just be blistering hot in that Juventus team. And he'll be the new number 7 that everyone will be talking about.
Ferris Oddy contribution again says, why are modern fans so quick to defend bad players? You should have given us an example of a player, because what's a bad player to you might not be a bad player to everybody else. Why are fans so quick to defend bad players? I mean,
bad players.
I defend.
Who could that be?
I don't know. I don't know. Martial's not a bad player. Herrera's not a bad player. Fellaini's a bad player. I suppose some people do defend him.
Yeah. Lingard. It's probably Lingard.
Maybe Lingard, yeah. I mean, the good thing about Lingard this year is he's not involved in the team. In fact, I saw a stat the other day, I don't know whether it's true, that Martial in his 25 minutes he's played this season has got more assists and goals than Lingard did in the whole of last year. But that surely can't be right in the league, apparently. Jer O'Neill says, what would be the best formation to play Zlatan in? Want to take that one, Rodney?
I mean, we've looked. I think we played the 3-5-2, and I think that might be best for him at the moment, because I think it then allows him, if he does play, not as an out-and-out striker, to drop in as the number 10 would drop in into midfield, and hopefully have players run past him, creating space for him to move the ball around, pretty much like Eric Cantona used to do when he used to drop deep and ping the ball out wide to Beckham and Giggs, so that he'd then come in and pick up the cross once they found him. But yeah, I think in terms of rotation of squad, I think the 3-5-2 is the best for him. I wouldn't want to do 4-4-2. We haven't got the wingers for 4-4-2.
No. He certainly wouldn't be able to do the current position, because Lukaku's pushing teams back with pace, and they just play a high line, and it become very, very difficult for our wingers. Then I think that's what Martial struggled with last year. I mean, I don't want to go too deep into tactics, because I love tactics, but Martial last year, if you think about the Liverpool game at Old Trafford, he had 4 or 5 players on him every time he got the ball. The ball wasn't coming to him quick enough, and by the time he got it, because opposition were playing such a high line, there's no space. This season there's a lot of space for people like Rashford and Martial, because Lukaku's pushing them back so far. But with Zlatan, they push a high pitch, and then the pitch becomes a lot smaller. Douglas Costa, any news on him? I think he went to Juventus, Mike, a couple of months ago, I think, as far as I remember.
He's warming the bench in Italy, is he? He must be.
I think he is, yeah. Okay, I did say that we would go back to Vol to have a look at your poll. So let's have a quick look at that. You can download the Vol app in the link in the video description. It's like the sort of new cross between Twitter and Instagram, social media thing. Jump on it while it's early. A lot of people have in relation to United, and are getting quite a few followers on it. You can follow us at United Stand, and Vol are going to give away United shirt, and you can get whatever name of the shirt player you want on the back. They're going to do that this weekend, so make sure you follow us at United Stand. The link is in the video description. But let's have a look at the poll. Do you want Zlatan back at United? It's dropped a little bit to 80%. It was up at 90% before we started the show, so that's quite interesting. And we've had a few comments. Let's see if we can get them up. Okay, Zlatan would be some player to play through cup games, let Lukaku rest. That's from at United Stand Loyal, good name. At Man United 0901, I think he can help Lukaku, plus having him as a backup to Lukaku would be quite nice. At United Lads, if Zlatan Ibrahimovic accepts he's a bit part player, then he's more than welcome. We're still arguably lightweight up front. I think I would totally agree with that. That's exactly what I would go with. And our poll from this morning, should Pereira go out on loan? 40% said yes, 60% said no. That's closer than I would have thought, Rodney.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, like I said, you know, someone posed a question about is the squad good enough? Yes, it is, as long as players don't go out on loan. I wouldn't want him to go out on loan, but if he does go out, it means that someone's coming in, and from his point of view, you know, is another season on loan what he needs? Probably not in a Spanish team, in a league where he's going to fight. Yeah, Premier League would have been ideal for him, but you know, it looks like he's going to go to Spain if he does go out on loan. Like, we have quite a few days left before the end of the transfer window, so you never know. He may still be there.
Few people asking, the link for Vol is in the video description, top paragraph. Click it, download it, it's free. Follow at United Stand, set your own little account up. It's like Twitter, Instagram, but it's new. So if you like your social media and you like us, you got onto Twitter a little bit late. This is brand new. You can start building up your social media account on there. We're doing all our polls on there. We're putting up a couple a day. So get involved with that and get commenting, and we'll interact with it on the show as usual. I'm back tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock with a transfer show as per usual. But that concludes everything I wanted to talk about, Rodney. So thanks for coming on.
No worries. Always a pleasure.
Give us a shout out of your. You're not on Vol yet. I'm sure you will be.
Not yet.
Twitter.
I will be soon. Twitter is at Rodney_Cyrus with a C.
If anybody hasn't seen our Twitter account today at United Stand MUFC, there's a fantastic quote from. I say quote. Might be a little bit poetic license there to wind up City fans, but i.e. he didn't say it, but. It has wound up a lot of people. I think it's on about 2,000 retweets at the moment. So if you've not retweeted it, just pop on there and do it, just to wind up the 50 or so City fans there are in the UK. But it's very funny. And it's the sort of thing I think Zlatan probably would say, which is probably why it's done so well.
Oh, what, with his knee?
yeah. I think it was something along the lines of... when I returned to United, it'll be the one time City actually fill their ground, and my knee currently is better than their defence, or something like that. It was funnier than
yeah.
Thanks everybody for watching. Remember to drop a like. Rodney's coming on Tuesdays. I really enjoy it. Just a bit of a chat and interaction with yourselves, and it always flies by. So really enjoyed that. Back with you tomorrow. We're going to do the preview again tomorrow. A little bit early, doing it on a Wednesday, but. It sort of gave us time to do something a little bit different on the Friday where we react to Mourinho's press conference. And I want to sort of develop some of the tactics stuff tomorrow. So we'll be live at 8 o'clock with that, 7 o'clock in the morning. But thanks everyone for watching, and thanks for coming on, Rodney.
Cheers. Thank you. No worries.